A Nigerian national, Chika Ibe from Abia State, has allegedly been tortured to death by members of the South African Police Service in Cape Town, and the Nigerian Citizens Association in South Africa are out in protest, demanding an immediate investigation. Let's watch.
You don't have any right to take somebody's life. It's not nice. You guys must give him life to wake up. The only thing that's gonna solve this thing, you guys must make that guy to be alive again. There is no solution. Or those people that are involved, we can also come out. Let's take a gun and shoot all of them once. Justice must be served. You guys can't come here and treat us like animals. How can you come and kill somebody? It's happening live in Pacific Villas, Belvin. They are treating us like animals. This is not how police works. If you want to work, you do your work straight. Don't kill somebody. Look at what is happening.
See him. They kill that man. They play. They kill him. They beat him. You know it. They kill him. See them and them that. And yeah, that. Army that kill them. And them that. Kiss a Nigerian man. Complex. Paxivilla. See him. And they accuse me. What I deal with them. See him. So Najo, who the killer? What's our hunter? My family so no hunter. See I'm so. That's what I did. You are kept on Paxivilla. See I'm so. Chakala. Chakala. See I'm. Take it out with your one bit up so.
Well, the Nigerian Citizens Association South Africa has described the circumstances surrounding this case as deeply disturbing. Chika Ibe allegedly died after severe beating, torture and suffocation during a routine police operation in Cape Town, and videos of the alleged incident have since gone viral online. This is not an isolated incident. It is now the third Nigerian to allegedly die at the hands of South African security forces in recent weeks. Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bianca Ojukwu, responded swiftly to the earlier deaths. But with this third incident, the pattern is impossible to ignore. These incidents demand more than diplomatic notes. They demand accountability, and the Nigerian government must treat these cases with the urgency they deserve. Well, good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Ayo, I'll come right to you on this story. This is really a sad incident. I mean, I don't know if you saw the video, quite graphic. We have the videos there. But, you know, it was so appalling to watch these officers. This was a summary execution if you had watched that video. And again, we're getting conversations about diplomatic notes. This is not the time for this sort of conversations. It is enough. A Nigerian man has died yet again in South Africa.
One Nigerian citizen dying in South Africa is one too many. Now we've had two, we've had three. And to be quite honest, let's call a spade a spade. We have talked diplomatically, we have given historical context to how Nigeria was instrumental to the apartheid fight, how Nigerians gave up their own personal allowances in support of their South African brothers. We have talked and talked and talked. I think now it is time for us to do force, to show a sense of force. And I honestly, because if we don't respond to this, how many more Nigerian lives, properties, businesses have to be destroyed for us to speak up against this? The Ghanaians have already spoken up. In fact, there was a barring of the South African president from coming to attend a particular conference there in Ghana based on the situation of things in the country. But all we've had are statements and statements being released. This is time for us to now hit them where it hits hardest. And that is why maybe the conversation around even looking at South African-owned businesses and assets ought to be revisited, because if the only language they understand is economic, an attack on their economic power, then perhaps that's the only language you can speak to them. Because at this moment, it looks almost as if Nigeria is a weaker state to South Africa. They need to deal with this, and the South African president is not saying anything concrete or is not speaking out to condemn these things. Instead, they are playing around defense and talking, and even having the audacity to speak about handling your drug. Was this man a drug dealer? What was his crime? Why was he killed in such a manner, in such a terrible manner? Right. We've talked about taking this to the ICC. We've talked about approaching International Criminal Court, right, and taking South Africa. I believe that we should pursue that. Fantastic. We've talked about other measures to go against and attack some of their assets. I think we should start to talk about that, and the Senate must speak about this on the floor. And God bless Senator Adams Oshomole, who has been consistent about speaking about this. We cannot afford to lose another Nigerian life. So let's explore every option, not just statements, not just now invitations to the ambassador. We need to actually take action right now, because this is now being ridiculous.
Thank you, Ayo, for your submission. May his soul rest in peace. And over in the United States, Congressman John James is calling on the Nigerian government to act quickly and release the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, NNAMDI KANU, or risk losing out on American aid funding. James made the call during plenary last Thursday, where he alleged that KANU's persecution is part of a larger pattern of Christian persecution in the country. Let's take a look.
Nigeria is the deadliest place on earth to be a Christian today. Since 2019, tens of thousands of Christians in Nigeria have been slaughtered as part of a sustained pattern of religiously motivated violence by Islamist jihadis ignored or enabled by the Nigerian government. Extremist groups like Boko Haram are allowed to operate without any meaningful response from authorities. A courageous leader named NNAMDI KANU was convicted in a farce show trial for speaking out about what's happening. He's currently serving a life sentence in prison, convicted on false terrorism charges. I implore my colleagues to support my bill, HRES 1321, calling on the Nigerian government to conduct another trial in accordance with its own constitution, based on evidence, with access to legal counsel, medical care, and international law pertaining to humane conditions of detention, or, better yet, release NNAMDI KANU immediately and unconditionally. America gives billions to Nigeria. We will not continue to fund a Christian genocide. We have the moral obligation to stand up so our Christian brothers and sisters can worship the Lord our God in peace. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Now, the federal government, Rufai, will almost certainly push back hard on this call, insisting that NNAMDI KANU's prosecution is a matter of national security and not religion. And I'll take some responses on X. Foreign lawmakers are free to express their views, but Nigeria's courts and legal processes ultimately determine cases within the country's jurisdiction. If there are concerns about due process, they should be addressed through the rule of law, not political pressure. At the same time, Nigeria's human rights record and security challenges will continue to attract international scrutiny. Dan wrote on X, U.S. legislators should focus on the issues facing their own country instead of attempting to dictate how Nigeria manages its internal affairs. Nigeria has made its position on NNAMDI KANU clear. If the U.S. wishes to cut its aid over that, it is free to do so. Your thoughts, Rufai?
See, the truth as we've always said about this NNAMDI KANU matter is that we have always called for a political solution. Because if you have put NNAMDI KANU in jail as they have put him now, are there no other people that have said terrible things? And like I've always said, there are many parts I don't agree with what NNAMDI KANU said. But are there no other people that have said terrible things in this country in support of people killing others? Are there no other people? It's the unfairness and lack of balance that scares me about this country. It's the unfairness and lack of balance. There are other people too that have said other things. But those people can never be called for question in Oji. There are some people that are bigger than the state. With the level of things they have said, they can never be called for questioning. They can never be called for questioning. They can say anything and go scot-free. They can advocate for bandits.
And that's the injustice Nigerians are calling out.
They can advocate for bandits and nothing, I repeat, nothing will happen to them. So that's the level of injustice we are talking about.
All right. Well,
secondly, for those that are saying America should face their own and everything, you to stop collecting their aid. It's now you remember you're a sovereign nation. Sovereign nation, but you are collecting, how much is the aid money? America alone is really close to $1 billion. But now you remember you are a sovereign nation, but you are collecting their close to $1 billion. When you show off with the contract and say, oh, USAID provided scholarship, USAID provided this in the UK, you don't know it's other people's taxpayers' money. So stop collecting. Maybe when they withdrew the aid recently, people were, no, now, it's the poor people that will suffer. Is it America that should be feeding your poor people?
All right.
The same country that used to lend World Bank money in the 70s.
All right.
Is it the same? Because you fail to realize that why these countries do these things is because of influence. Nigeria too does it. We do TICAD now, Abi.
Yes, we do.
So it's sort of influence. When Kennedy set up Peace Corps, was it to be able to increase America's influence. Right. When Bush did PEPFAR, it's to be able to increase America's influence. So if they say, oh, we give you aid, and because of that they use their aid to threaten, they have every right to use their aid to threaten you. When Elon Musk all of a sudden came and said he was doing Doge, and he was cutting everything with what's that boy's name, Big Ben, or what's that boy's name that was cutting everything in America? Didn't they cut USAID funding? Didn't money wasn't radically squeezed? Right. Didn't Elon Musk come after a year as I said, I went into politics a little bit? He went into politics big time. In fact, he was sleeping in Mar-a-Lago.
All right. I mean, this vote is now set for, some sort of confirmation about the aid. We'll see. I mean, I think that it will pass, really, because, they have all voted to remove, to stop 100%.
Despite that it passes,
right,
it's still incumbent on the American government. So what's it called does is different from what the parliament will do in America. It's still incumbent on the Trump's government anyway.
All right. Well, insecurity news. Troops of Operation Fasanyama have rescued 48 kidnapped victims following a swift response to a terrorist attack in Kaura Namoda local government area of Zamfara State in the early hours of Saturday, June 26. The operation was launched after troops received a distress call reporting that terrorists on approximately 40 motorcycles had invaded the community, rounding up residents with the intention of abducting them. The troops immediately engaged the terrorists in a fierce firefight, forcing them to abandon the victims and flee. Tragically, one civilian lost his life during the attack, and 2 others were wounded and evacuated to the general hospital for treatment. Aggressive patrols have since been launched to prevent further attacks in the area. This is an incredible win. The Theater Command commends the soldiers for their gallantry, and so does Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army arrested Mohammed Yusuf, a soldier attached to the Nigerian Army Ordnance Kits factory in Lagos, after he was declared wanted for allegedly supplying military gear to terrorists, with troops of the 7th Provost Group nabbing him at Jidari bus stop in Maiduguri on July 25th as he allegedly attempted to flee to Cameroon. Now, this arrest is a reminder that the war against terrorism has an internal front, and the Nigerian army must continue rooting out bad actors within its own ranks. I mean, this security win comes as a Kebbi State High Court judge, Justice Faruku Hassan Bunza, was abducted over the weekend in a brazen midnight raid on his residence in Kebbi State, shortly after he returned home from a trip to Sokoto, with police confirming the abduction and deploying tactical teams to comb forest areas for his safe rescue. I mean, this is a direct assault on the Nigeria's judiciary. The terrorists walked into his home, fired shots, and kidnapped the judge. The war against terrorism is far from over. We hear the police have deployed tactical teams to secure his release, and we pray for his safe return home. I mean, we've seen, I thought to highlight the security wins and just, to mention that amid the win, we still have this sort of brazen attack. I mean, this man was in his home and he was kidnapped. An attack on the judiciary, I must say. But, we're hoping that the police will win again this time around to bring this judge home. It is a targeted attack. It does appear like a targeted attack. Now, Dr. Abati, I'll come to you with this story. Now to a dramatic twist in the ABACHA death controversy. Hamza AL-MUSTAPHA, former chief security officer to late military ruler General Sani Abacha, has fired back at retired DSS operative Dennis Amakere, flatly dismissing his account that Abacha died of cardiac arrest during an intimate encounter, saying that he has all the CCTV footage of what happened in his custody. Al-MUSTAPHA, who has consistently maintained that Abacha died from a handshake with a security operative of a visiting dignitary, described Amakere as acting out a script written by others and promised to respond fully at the appropriate time. 28 years later, after Abacha's death, we're still getting contradictory accounts about the night of June 8, 1998. Al-MUSTAPHA says he has CCTV footage but has not released it to date. Nigerians are eagerly waiting, aren't they? Dr. Abati, your thoughts?
Well, first, let me state the principle.
Yes.
There's a principle in government. I don't know whether it's a 10-year rule or 15-year rule that whatever you see in government, you are not supposed to write about it.
Okay.
There's usually a period. But of course, in Nigeria now, that has often been observed in the breach. You see people, they will leave government 2-3 months later, they are already writing a tell-all narrative. Then there is also a certain category of officials, public officials, that are not even allowed to write what they have seen. They are sort of given is it disbarment allowance, something, debarment allowance, and they are paid that allowance not to go out to go and say what they have seen, because there are certain facts, certain information that you come across in the course of your work that may create some kind of tension in the polity. And that's why I say sometimes it's not what a farmer sees, a hunter sees in the forest that he talks about outside. But in Nigeria, again, we observe most things in the breach. However, I want to listen to about 2 persons on this subject of Mr. Amakere's book. Let's start with Al-MUSTAPHA. Al-MUSTAPHA was the chief security officer to General Abacha, and he said that he was the duty officer to investigate what happened, and that he had the tapes and all of that. I don't think he's threatening to release those tapes. It may not be, part of his standing orders to go and release that, but he is also a testimony after the fact, and he's saying this is what I saw. Now, yesterday I had a gentleman on the This Day Live program. He was a soldier, but after a while he discharged himself, or he disengaged from the military, and he just started a security consulting business. He raised a number of questions. He said that Mr. Dennis Amakere's evidence is based solely on the testimony of the lady that escaped from Abuja to Lagos. That, okay, why was the sister, who is the main girlfriend, why was she not interrogated? And that, one person's account cannot be taken to be the gospel truth. Who investigated the officers that were in the guest house at that time? Who is that officer who took an instruction from a lady late in the night on the orders of the CEC, and the order was not directly from the CEC himself? He also said that, did Mr. Amakere have access to the autopsy that was conducted, because an autopsy would have been conducted? In other words, he was just saying that, okay, the SSS, the headquarters itself, since Mr. Amakere was in Lagos, what additional investigation did the headquarters carry out, or what did headquarters do with his interrogation? So the guy raised a number of questions like that. And then, of course, you have heard from AL-MUSTAPHA. So there's still a lot to the story.
There is.
You know, that we do not know. And that we may never know.
Right.
But you can say that AL-MUSTAPHA, as a lawyer officer, you know, also has a responsibility to, you know, defend the integrity of his principal and to defend the integrity of the information available to him as the main officer on duty, as chief security officer within that villa. What could have, you know, sorted this out would have been maybe interagency cooperation in some other jurisdictions. An event like that will happen, and then of course, you know, they'll keep investigating.
I mean, it can still happen. Why can't they continue
until they reach a certain level? But one group saying the CEC died on top of a woman, another group saying he was poisoned by some foreign agent. You never get it.
So the question about he died on top of me still in context right now. So yes, there's a question mark there. But you know, we told our viewers that we'll be reading your comments. So let me take this comment from Solomon on Leke, who wrote, the former DSS officials claim that Abacha died during intercourse is not new, not proven, and not officially confirmed by any Nigerian institution. It's part of the long-running folklore around Abacha's death, a mix of truth, rumor, and political mythology, and Nigerians should treat it as unverified testimony, not established fact. Always confirm sensitive political information with trusted sources. Well, thank you, Solomon, for that as well. But you know, I've been in contact with a lot of people, and I also spoke with a House of Rep member, who I will not mention at this point, and he actually confirmed Dennis Amakeri's story, saying that he is friends with the two sisters. They're longtime family friends, and that, you know, they are from Abdvct, or the girl is from Abdvct, and the story is true. The girl has since moved on, and she's had children, but they are still in close, conversations at this point. So, I mean, where's the story now? We don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's that interagency investigation that we need. And if AL-MUSTAPHA is saying that we have CCTV footage, please let Nigerians know what happened
to a cold case file. They can be arrested and interrogated.
Well, they are still alive. Yes, I don't have their contact. I only spoke with the House of Rep member. All these sisters, they are not there. I don't know them at all. Well, all right.